This program is designed and produced by the community with the support of TV Cogeco.
Hello and welcome to Oakville Matters. This is truly local television that gets into the things that move our community. And today we're talking about moving our community more by making Oakville more active. Not that we're all that bad. We're already the healthiest community in the country with the longest longevity and the greatest health according to a recent national study. And with us today to talk about being more active are Wayne Hussey and Sean Baker and Dave Harris. And they are from the Gymnastics Club, the Swimming Club, and the Soccer Club. And those are three of our most active groups, I would have to say. The only group we don't have here is someone from ice. And I'll represent that because for 12 years I was on the board of a major ice user in this town. Guys, what are you doing to make Oakville more active? Sean, what are you doing?
Well, first, thanks for having us, Samaritan. Really appreciate it. We've started a number of programs that basically we've tried to have more people swimming less often, to try to get the numbers up and be able to access more individuals, get them off the couch, get them into the pool. We find that that's really moved our membership from about 350 members up to around 500 members.
Outstanding.
Yeah, thank you.
Dave, could you get any bigger if you tried?
No, we'd have a tough time right now. We just did our numbers the other day, and we're just over 20,000 registrations.
Oh my God!
So we're pretty excited about that. That's a fall-winter season. That's outdoor and indoor.
I've been going around saying you're 14,000, so boy, have you jumped.
We've jumped up, and our indoor capacity is really where we're at our breaking point right now.
Amazing. And Wayne, how about you?
Yes, we can get bigger. We have had waiting lists, unfortunately, for the last 5 years, 6 years, and so we're looking at more space. We're discussing with the town for more space, and we're also looking at commercial sites as well.
Wow. So in spite of being full, are you looking at lowering the age at which you attract people into your club?
Yes, we are. So currently we're at 18 months, which seems quite young. However, we're looking to drop that even below 1 year of age. So our staff are talking about it now. And we're trying to take advantage of some lost opportunities we had when they went with full-time kindergarten. So we're trying to fill some more daytime space. So the registrants that I was talking about on waiting lists are mainly core times like after school and weekends. We just can't fill all the needs right now with the limited space we have.
So what are you going to call these tiny, tiny gymnasts?
Well, we've been playing around with a few names. A friend of mine gave me the name Gym Fence because they're so young. We had another one that maybe is a little off, is Rugrats, because we think they'll be spending a lot of time on the rugs in the gym, the padded rugs. So we're not there yet, but maybe as soon as our spring session, we'll see that younger group.
Extraordinary. So on your facilities, both the gymnastic facility and the soccer facility are unique deals with the town. Am I hearing that you're both needing to do it again?
I think you've been hearing that for a little while. To what degree, I'm not fully sure yet. We've still in talks with the town. They're ongoing. There's other players as well, from school boards to the Y and other participants that might want to take advantage of town facilities, town properties. But it's been so valuable in our growth. So again, thank you to yourself and the town for allowing that. We've increased our numbers. Dave's numbers were staggering, but we've increased our numbers from 500-600 participants a session to over 1,200-1,300, where our membership is close to 5,000-7,000 a session with all the different programs we run. So to suggest that we even need more space is great.
Well, these are extraordinary numbers. I remember at the Minor Oaks Hockey Association, we were thrilled with ourselves when we were floating around in the 4,300 level of count. And I know the Hornets had a significant, over 1,000, but at that time, which is a good 10 years ago, your numbers were much lower than today, and yours were much lower than today. Well, and as far as the facilities go, I'm very confident when I tell you that council and I are eager to do those facility deals. We've even struggled for several years now. I ran promising to build a 50-meter pool, and I hate to say that I haven't been able to deliver on a promise, but if there's one promise I've failed on, it's the 50-meter pool. And this isn't me saying I've given up, but so far we haven't been able to get the kind of volumes. But you've just relit my interest by the new higher number that you're citing. What's going on there?
Well, I think we've just been trying to find pool space that was either underutilized, or we tried to maximize pool space that we did have. And of course we always run into the problem that there's a lot of competing interests for the same pool time. And
well, there's this water temperature thing that drives me crazy. Some portion, I don't know how big, wants warm water, so-called, and another portion, and I still don't know how big, wants cold water. And apparently the difference between warm and cold is only a couple of degrees. Is that right? What's the real story behind this? It's not a controversy, but this division in the market.
It's true. I think there's an ideal training temperature for athletes that are really training for high performance. Our club is kind of all inclusive. We do have participation all the way up to the pursuit of excellence. But that's a minor obstacle from our perspective. I think when we look towards the future, hopefully we can discuss things that include multi-use facilities that can cater to everybody's needs, right, to suit the needs of the community, not only now, but in 25 years from now, where this community will be.
So is it true, though, that the temperatures are very close together, but they feel a lot different? I mean, help me out with that.
Yes, you can feel a 1 or 2 degree difference. Yes.
Because I know the Masters Swim Club are constantly at me. So these are folks my age who swim for exercise, I guess, and health, and they like it warm, as I understand it. Warmer than you like it, is that right?
I think so, because the athletes are training at heart rates that are between 10 to 30 beats below maximum, so the respiration rate, the heat levels in their body are much higher, say, than if we were working in a certain cardio zone that might be just for fat burning only.
Oh, so if I'm cold in the water, it's just a function of not swimming hard enough.
I can help you out with that.
So Dave, I understand that you've expanded to the young side of the spectrum as far as you can go. What about going up and I don't know, a geriatric age soccer league? What else can you do?
Well, we have our regular soccer, which is over 35, so you've got almost a master's soccer program. But now we have, and we've started recently, the Nordic pole walking program. So that's people that are either seniors or those that are recovering from significant illnesses, surgeries, that come in and they'll walk the turf every week, sometimes twice a week, with their poles, and they do the whole length of the turf, and we've got the music on for them, and they really seem to enjoy it.
So how long is the turf?
Well, you're going by, it's a FIFA-approved pitch, so you're looking at, oh, you're kind of stumping me on this, but you're at least 200 feet across. So you're looking at walking the circumference of it. So it's a good way for them, and I joked earlier I couldn't keep up with them. They're really doing a good job.
So it's just going.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you had a new building, where would you put it?
Ideally, from what we've been looking at, we would try to expand out on the current parcel of land we have right now.
Really?
Yeah, and go towards, I guess, the public French school, and put it out that way going lengthways. Then we'd put another total FIFA pitch in there, and then we'd work with community partners to not only expand our programs, but expand theirs. Different sports that would come in and would be able to either dry land train or actually run programs out of there.
So does that mean we would rejig the orientation of the outdoor soccer pitches that are out there?
You would ideally, you would probably lose one of the soccer pitches, the natural grass right behind the current facility, but it would give you enough space to put in another artificial turf space. And then you'd still have 3 premier grass fields outside in the back, which the town keeps immaculate. So we're thrilled that we have the opportunity to do that.
So then the same complement of club people could operate the entire thing.
Yes, it would be centralized.
So that would make it way more efficient.
Way more efficient, as opposed to having 2 separate facilities. You'd have to double staff, and we could do it all out of one location.
And has the club's volume got to the, I guess if you hit 20,000, I guess we can take it as read that your capacity to handle that extra building would be there.
It would be there with our youth programs for sure, because we are a youth-based program, but our adults would take it in there. We already have programs like Frisbee football, the high schools, public schools, the Montessoris are already in there. Rugby is very big in there. So yes, we could do that with help from a number of community partners.
So the town's budget chief is one of your coaches and a member of one of your adult leagues. Have you taken this up with him?
We have spoken to Tom at great length, yes, and he also has 3 kids in the program, I believe, 3 or 4 kids in the program.
He's a dedicated soccer player.
He's a going concern, that's for sure. Well, I joked with him that maybe we should put a room in there for him to stay over some nights. But yeah, he knows firsthand how big the program is and how big we're getting. And the need for a secondary facility.
Well, Councillor Adams, if you're listening, I guess we're hearing that there may be work ahead. And Wayne, what about your ambitions for a second building? Where would you, or what would you do? Would you?
Yeah, we've been in discussions with North Park since it opened the quad pad arena and looking at space there. So we're still interested in that location. It's not too far from our current location. Again, I've stressed this all along, and you know me long enough to know that I believe in facility and I believe in coaching. And if you have those two, you know the sky's the limit. And you'll know from attending one of our functions just the other day, we started an acrobatic program.
Oh, it's amazing.
A couple of years ago, yes. And I've got to be honest, when I started it, when my staff came to me and I started, I remember walking past the window, looking down and going, ooh, what do I do this for, you know? And then 4 or 5 years later, with great coaching and the facility to accommodate, we're sending 4 out of 18 girls, actually 14 out of 18 athletes, there's one gentleman, are going to the World Championships in China in March, representing Canada. So it just goes to show in such a short period of time what can happen with, again, coaching and facilities. So we're looking at North Park, we're talking to the school board, we're talking to the town, and that's kind of the avenue we're pursuing right now.
So Sean, I don't want to leave you out of that. I haven't given up on a 50-meter pool, and I can tell you that staff are certain that I'm wrong, that we can do one there. But maybe we can put on a bit of a press and move that forward. It'd be great. I mean, there's a community called Tilsonburg, population 14,000, and they've had a 50-meter pool, albeit nothing like what you want. I mean, it's like 6 lanes. It's very narrow, and the deck is about this wide on each side, but it's 50 meters long.
Right.
Although I think they run it warm.
Okay.
You know, because it's the community's pool, I guess.
Yes.
But still, in all, 50 meters. I can't believe the way a 50-meter pool is always estimated at a bazillion times more than twice a 25-meter pool. I can never get over that. Of course, your desire to have a stadium around it does pump the numbers just a little bit. So, what do you see as you look out in the future for the activity of Oakville? And we're a little bit younger than the provincial average as an average age, but it's just a smidge. But everybody says society's aging. I think because we're growing a little bit, and the people that move to town are families with kids, that we may fight that aging thing. What's your long-term projections for your clubs, Sean?
I believe that. I think that things go in trends, and at some point the younger portion of the community is going to grow, as I referred to later, about looking to the future 25 years from now, what kind of facilities are going to be in place for that. I've been with a number of different programs and different clubs in my past, and we've seen a number of facilities that have opened, and almost as soon as they've opened, they've become obsolete. They're filled to capacity. So I think that what I see in the future is being able to offer services for multiple user groups. I've often thought that it would be very useful to be able to collaborate with things like soccer or gymnastics, that sort of thing, and be able to have a multi-sport development for young kids. We're all pretty aware that we don't want to pigeonhole kids too young. We want to have a broad sense of development, and as they get older, they pick and choose where they want to go. So I think being collaborative in that manner might help expedite the process for us to go to the next step.
Well, I know in the hockey club we strongly believed in cross-training. Can we work out a deal right here that gymnastics and soccer and swimming will become the cross-training cocktail of choice?
I'd be very excited by that.
And we've talked about things like that with different sport groups for a while now, but I think when it comes right down to it, with the facilities being spread out all over the place and some of the challenges that go with that with different boards of directors, I think it's a desire, but it's not always the easiest thing to attain right now. But again, I just go back to facilities, and because if you have the facilities, regardless of the aging community, you can do different things. Like we have adult gym, not maybe in the same numbers as soccer does, because again, gymnastics is not necessarily for the elderly. However, the nature of the type of facility we have, they could do fitness classes in there as well. But so I think any sport can adapt to different milieus of type of people. It's just right now we can't, because we have to deal with our core business, and our core business is turning away people, unfortunately. So until we get those facilities where we can expand, or facilities that are the size that different groups can take advantage of some common threads, then I think that's the challenge right now.
So how are we going to deal with the timing? You're saying that you're already turning away. North Park, the community center, is slated for 2021 or 2022, something like that. Mm-hmm. Don't hold me to the exact year, but it's not tomorrow. Right. Well, what are you going to do in the interval?
Yeah, well, we've been told that if we're ready to go financially, we can go even though it's before 2022. We have 7 potential sponsors that would potentially could actually pay for the building that we're in discussions with right now. So all it takes is one, and then we ramp up the need to get that building sooner. And the people that I talk with at the town are aware of that, and so we just have to keep doing our due diligence with corporate sponsors in the area that might be willing to step up and help out with this dilemma of lack of space.
So you're not set on being at North Park, I gather, or are you set on being there?
It's my first choice.
And do you have a second?
Yeah, anything else you might have for us, or anything else we can find. Anything that works, I guess, is probably we can't grow where we are. We've obviously, because we've attached to the Glen Abbey Rec Center, and that's working out really, really well for us. The synergy there, with the library and the rec center is just amazing. So now it's what's that next best move for our club, and sometimes you don't know. Like someone says, "Do you have a business plan?" I said, "Yeah, I have 4," but it just depends for where and how much and when. So it's just that whole what's the next best opportunity for the Oakville Gymnastics Club that will suit the needs of our community.
So just out of left field and off the top of my head, and don't hold me to this, sure, but could you expand onto another rec center like you did at Glen Abbey, like say Iroquois Ridge?
Of course.
Because you know that, as I think of the layout of that, it feels a little bit like it's a smaller one.
Yeah, of course we could.
So have you talked about that one with anybody?
No, but I'm glad you brought it up, because I'm always willing to talk about anything that makes sense.
So there'll be talk happening now.
Yes, anything that makes sense. There will be a discussion now that you've said that, yes.
Well, I've, as mayor over the last 10 years, I've heard from 2 parts of town, being sort of the Bronte area and the Clearview area, with a sort of a constant refrain. It's not, it's well-intentioned and everything. I'm not complaining about it, but they often reflect a feeling that they don't have enough, or that they didn't get as much stuff as the rest of the parts of Oakville. And maybe we can find land in one of those 2 areas.
Well, we were interested in the Oakville Arena, but and we pursued that, had visits. However, I don't think we stood much of a chance, because I think it was the historical value of remaining as an arena, I think, overshadowed our interest in as a gymnastics club.
Oh yeah, no, the Oakville Arena is the holy of holies.
Yes.
It's not just
that out.
It's not just hockey; it's heritage hockey.
Yeah, we found that out.
I mean, Mayor Para got his start, and as a hockey player there, as a star on the Blades. So how cool is that? Yes, hockey players can become mayor. So Dave, you've answered your location, and Sean, you don't care where you go as long as you go, right?
We're flexible. Right now we're operating out of 7 different facilities, and actually we use facilities in Hamilton and in Mississauga to try to cater to our numbers. But I think North Park makes sense, north of the 407, around that area. I know plans that you had in discussions about thinking that pool could be a 50-meter complex. I think that makes sense. I think it's a natural progression. And a community like ours, let's face it, it is one of the top-notch communities in the country. And when we talk about a place that we aspire to be the most livable town in the country, I think we need to look at what facilities can really cater to that. And you mentioned another community that just recently got a new pool. I just read that Aurelia is getting a $50 million aquatic complex.
Wow.
So it certainly makes me think that this is only a matter of time for us.
What is Aurelia using for money, though?
That's a great question, Mayor. I don't know.
Well, we'll have to see. I'll look into that. We might have spent, I mean, I suppose it comes down to the $130 million we gave the hospital could have been a heck of a community facility. But on the other hand, a modern hospital is a heck of a community facility too. So, well, one of the things that I've done as mayor, which has enabled us to do the hospital donation without using tax money, is to develop new revenues from business ventures that are energy related, that like solar farms around the province. We own solar farms and other things like that. And so in a sense, we're using other people's money from profits that we make in other parts of the province to build stuff for ourselves. I guess I've got to get busier and make more. The entrepreneurial mayor, trying to build facilities with other people's money. It's bound to be popular. I can see it now. The activity level of our town, the success that we've had on that has certainly paid off in the stats that we see. How do you keep your volunteer corps going? I mean, I used to tell people who I would meet moving here, I still do, that all the kids' sports clubs that I know of in Oakville are mom and dad volunteer run, right? And that's still true, right? So in order to make them work at all, people have to step up. You guys are on the front line of keep motivating people to step up. How do you do it?
Well, I think more of the bigger ones are now professionally run. So that's changed a little bit, but the volunteers do play a big part because they reduce costs that you would normally have to invest in if they weren't involved. I think they see the product, they see the benefit of especially the health and the activity sports side of it, and so it's pretty easy for them to want to get involved, probably to a fault maybe. And if I could just address the whole facility issue and where do we get the money from, and I think sometimes the more you talk about partnerships and the synergy of everything, when we've all been beneficiaries of government grants, whether it be provincially or federal, and both provincial and federal grants, that's a big impetus for them. Who's going to be the partners and the sustainability? Well, I think in Oakville, as we've been talking about, we have both. We have examples of success in both. We have the sustainability and we have the potential partnership. So I think that's something moving forward that we can look to do and try to get some of those large chunks of money from the government fundings that they have from time to time.
So if I heard you correctly, all of your coaches you're not using volunteers significantly?
We can't in gymnastics. They have to be trained, paid professionals.
Well, when I saw the acrobatics last year for the first time, kids flying through the air and twirling, I thought, really caught your eye. I was terrified I was going to see what they land perfectly, and very impressed. What about you, Sean? A role for parents in your club?
Yes, I mean, the organizational structure is that it's an athlete-centered, coach-driven, parent-supported organization. And basically what that means is we do have 2 full-time office staff. We have 35 to 40 coaches that are either paid hourly, or we have 6 full-time coaches. But the parents are key. They run our swim meets, they run the board of directors, they take care of everything, kind of what we call the dry side, and the coaches take care of everything on the wet side. So it's a really great working relationship, and it's kind of one of the reasons why this club has been the best swim club in Canada. There's a very clear line of delineation between what roles and responsibilities volunteer parents do and what the professionals are hired to do.
So you're kind of a hybrid. And Dave, I know you've got a combination, but it seems to me most of your coaches are parents, aren't they?
They are, and I would say that credit goes to all sports organizations for how well they treat their volunteers. We couldn't do anything without our volunteers. We have A-level coaches who are paid at our club, but our B and C at the rep level are volunteers. Our board is a volunteer-based board who works extremely hard, but we've got 500 to 600 volunteer coaches at our house league level. So without them, we literally could not run our programs.
Wow. Sure. Now, do you have trouble getting the house league coaches to come forward, or do you wind up with the luxury of being able to pick?
No, I don't think you ever have a luxury of having too many volunteers. We do recruit. A lot of them are the last ones to the soccer field on the first game of the season, you know, and they get picked as the coach for the year. But we have a number that we recruit. For example, we started a special needs program last Friday with Special Olympics and Autism Ontario, and we had 20 volunteers step up right away and just say, I want to be part of this. So there is no lack of interest in doing good in our community, and that's something I find sets us apart from everybody else, is how positive, how excited our volunteers are about getting involved with the community.
Well, that's great. You know, I'll never forget, as a hockey convener, going into dressing rooms at the first start of the season and saying to the parents, okay, unless one of you volunteers to be the coach, there will be no games. You'll be able to skate, but no games. I'll come back in 20 minutes, talk among yourselves, and decide who the victim is. And 20 minutes later, we would have all of our coaches for the house league. But and then everybody loves it. I think that what was holding people back was you're kind of afraid, like, am I really good enough to be the coach? But we had and have still a training program for our coaches, and I think that makes it easier. I want to thank you guys for being with me today, and I hope everyone has enjoyed hearing how active Oakville is and how hard we work at staying active. I look forward to seeing you again on Oakville Matters.